When Daniel first mentioned it, I laughed, not a soft laugh, but one dripping with sarcasm. Seriously? I asked, shaking my head. You're jealous of Ethan? He's my best friend. We've known each other since college. You're being ridiculous. Daniel's jaw tensed, but he didn't argue back. He just gave a slow nod and fell silent, the kind of silence that tells you words had cut deeper than you realized. Later that night, I told my sister, Daniel's being insecure. He thinks Ethan's some kind of threat. It's childish. She agreed, and I felt validated in brushing it off. Why wouldn't I? Ethan had been with me through everything, breakups, awful jobs, even when Daniel and I first started dating. He was the one person I could always turn to without judgment. But here's what I failed to see: from the outside, it didn't look so harmless. Ethan texted me constantly, and I always responded right away. Sometimes I'd burst out laughing at his jokes while Daniel and I were having dinner, leaving my husband staring at me across the table. There were inside jokes, hugs that lingered too long, conversations that stopped the moment Daniel walked into the room. I told myself it was all innocent, but deep down, I knew it wasn't quite as harmless as I pretended. A few weeks later, Daniel tried again. Sophie, he said quietly one night, I need you to understand. It feels like you're giving parts of yourself to Ethan that should belong to us, to me. I rolled my eyes, irritated by his tone. You're overreacting. He's just a friend. Stop trying to control who I talk to. That was when something in him shifted. I saw it in his eyes, a quiet finality, like he had just made up his mind. But I was too busy feeling smug, thinking I'd won the argument, not realizing the real battle was only beginning. Over the next month, Daniel changed. Not with the fiery outbursts I expected, but in subtle, unsettling ways. He stopped asking where I was going when I met up with Ethan. He no longer waited up for me when I came home late. The man who once noticed every small detail of my day now seemed distant, detached. At first, I called it progress. Finally, he stopped obsessing, I told myself. But the feeling wasn't relief, it was an eerie emptiness. His silence weighed heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Meanwhile, Ethan was still there, texting, calling, inviting me out. And I leaned into it even more, almost out of spite. If Daniel wasn't going to care, then fine. I'd laugh louder at Ethan's jokes, stay out later, share even more with him. But the more I poured into that friendship, the colder home became. Dinners turned into quiet meals where Daniel barely looked my way. Nights ended with him turning his back without a word. Then one Friday, I came home after another night with Ethan and found Daniel sitting in the living room. A suitcase rested beside him. My stomach dropped. What are you doing? I asked, my voice breaking even as I tried to sound steady. He looked at me, not angry, not tearful, but with something far worse. Indifference. I can't do this anymore, Sophie, he said evenly. I warned you. I told you how it made me feel, and you laughed. I'm not going to beg for respect in my own marriage. I froze. Wait, you're leaving me? Over Ethan? Are you serious? The words spilled out, desperate. But Daniel didn't flinch. He took a slow breath. This isn't about Ethan. It's about you. You made me the outsider in my own marriage. And I'm done. It felt like the floor collapsed under me. I had always believed Daniel would never leave, no matter how far I pushed. But standing there with his suitcase, he looked like someone who had already left me long ago. I stumbled toward him, panic rising. Daniel, please, don't do this. Ethan is just a friend. I was wrong to mock you. I didn't mean it. My voice cracked, the sharp confidence I once carried stripped away. But Daniel only shook his head. You don't understand, Sophie. You didn't just laugh at me, you dismissed me. You treated my feelings like they were worthless. You laughed while I was drowning. His words landed like stones, heavy and undeniable. For the first time, I saw myself through his eyes, the dinners where I rolled mine at his questions, the nights I brushed him off with sarcasm, the moments I chose Ethan's validation over my husband's trust. Suddenly, it wasn't about jealousy at all, it was about betrayal. Not physical, but emotional. Deep. Cutting. I reached for his hand. We can fix this. Please, I'll stop seeing Ethan. I'll do anything. My voice shook with desperation. But Daniel gently pulled away, like someone who had already made peace with his choice. I gave you years, Sophie, he said softly. I begged you to see me, but you never did. You only saw a jealous husband to ridicule. Now, I finally see myself. And I know I deserve better. With that, he lifted the suitcase and walked out the door. The silence that followed was suffocating. I collapsed onto the couch, every cruel laugh, every sarcastic jab, every time I'd chosen to belittle him flashing through my mind. My phone lit up with a new message from Ethan, but for the first time, I didn't care. His attention meant nothing compared to what I had just lost. I had always assumed Daniel would stay, no matter how hard I pushed him away. But I was wrong. My mockery had carved a canyon between us, and when he finally crossed it, he never looked back. That night, I understood, far too late, that the man I dismissed as jealous was the only one who had truly loved me.